I'm Tamara Butler, the team lead of the Service Above Sales team out here in South Jersey and proud partner of the LPT Realty family. I specialize in helping military and relocating families find their next home while building a business that's truly rooted in community, education, and connection. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by my amazing business partner and friend, Sierra Haskins, all the way from California. Sierra is one of those people who not only walks the walk, when it comes to leadership and growth, but has really built a brand that aligns with who she is as a person. And that's something that really resonates deeply with me. Please welcome Sierra.
I'm
So,
so glad to be here with you. And I feel the same way about you. So,
thank you. Thank you. So, we wanted to come and talk about something that we haven't been able to stop talking about, which was the conference we just came from down in Orlando at LPT Realty. What some of your biggest takeaways were from the LPT conference with all of us.
you know what? I am so glad to be here and have this opportunity to chat with you about it. And I know that we have talked, daily about it since we've been back. And I think, you and I coming from a different brokerage before, we had worked together before, and now we're both over here at LPT. And I think one of the big things for me at this conference was the lack of fluff. I mean, so many times you go to a conference and it's like 3 days of partying, which is fun. I mean, it's great. It's great to get out and have a good time and whatnot. But it was like a college course crammed into 3 days. So you get there in the morning and they fed you a great breakfast. You got your day started. And our CEO was on stage 11 hours a day, with workbooks and notes. And it's like, this is how you're going to succeed. This is how you're going to do it. It wasn't just the top producers on stage telling the audience why they're so great, or motivational speakers, which there's a place for all of that. But when you're going like this to a conference, there was so many aha moments. There were so many just golden nuggets and things to write down to bring back that it was almost overwhelming,
Yes,
honestly. I mean, I know that we've talked about it, but it was so rich and like just packed full of information that it's going to take forever to get through.
absolutely.
But we still had a good time. We were still able to go out in the evening and have dinner and hang out together and, be together as a group. And we had a happy hour evening, but when it came to it, it was like getting up in the morning, getting in there, and everybody was there for the same thing. Everybody
Yep,
was there for the same reason, to learn and to grow and to network. And there is just something so, so different about this conference that I have not experienced before.
I completely agree. And you know what the best part was as well? We felt like our brains were going to explode with the education that we were receiving.
Yeah.
Was he handed us that game plan. We
Yeah.
had those notebooks and we were writing down, all those notes and we're able to record and take it back with us and digest it on our own time and share that knowledge with everyone around us. And I feel like we both want to continue to talk about it and see how we're going to implement it within our own uh, companies ourselves. So that's
Absolutely. I don't know any other conference that we've been to that they actually just hand you a binder.
mm-mm,
It's not, instead of going in there and being like, okay, pay attention, get out a piece of paper, it's just here's your success, and
yeah.
just
Now make
do
it your
this
own success story.
100%,
That was up to
and
you.
come back here and let us know how we can help you with it.
Exactly.
And it was like, turn to page 34, write this down.
Yep.
Turn to page 67, write this down. This is what this means up on the big screen, and so.
And it didn't matter if you had sold 5 houses or
Mhm.
500. It spoke to everyone. I truly believe.
Yep, absolutely. And I think it's designed that way. I mean, I know that we talked to Robert about that, and his goal is everybody's success, whether or not you're selling 1 to 3 houses a year or you're selling 30 plus houses a year. It doesn't matter. And you actually feel that. I think that's one of the
Yep.
things that I really liked. And that's why I asked him that question, was because I wanted to know. Lots of CEOs, lots of executives give lip service to whoever's listening, and that's one thing that I have learned about Robert, is that he is not that. He actually means it. So you have value to the company if you're selling one house, and you have value to the company if you are a team leader of 100. It's still that personal touch, that personal, feeling where you actually feel like you belong to something, you belong to a company. And, I worked for almost 4 years at another cloud-based brokerage. I loved it. I didn't have an issue, but I never had a conference like this. Never. So,
I feel
no,
exactly the same way. Truly. I also feel that in the continuous decisions that they're making, he takes that time to make sure that those next decisions, those next steps, as they're getting bigger and bigger, because I mean, when you look at the numbers, they
yeah,
are, and he wants to make sure that it's going to continue to go in that right direction. And that
100%.
means so much. And when he put those numbers up there, and when you're comparing all those brokerages and you're seeing the growth in those just first 3.5 years, it is
Yeah,
astounding. And
absolutely.
it
To have a company break into the top 10 in the
mhm.
first 3 years, top 10 in the entire nation, I mean, there's something to be said for it. And their growth plan is so solid, and they've been so methodical about it. And so when people are like, hey, how come you just didn't go public? Hey, how come you didn't do this? How come you didn't do that? We want you to do this. And it's like, no, we're going to do it exactly the way that we need to make sure that the company is not only sustainable, but successful, and forward thinking and forward moving. And just, I mean, watching what's happened is incredible. It makes me so excited for the next 3.5
Yes,
years.
yes,
So yeah, I
same.
know. I
It's
can't wait.
so
I'm so
hard to
glad
just
to be here.
contain that energy.
I know. And
Especially
my
when
thing
you're
is too, is I have a hard time not wanting, like, you just have to be here. You just have to be here, And so I do though. I mean, there are other cloud-based brokerages that, feel like it's a recruiting company and it's this and that, and people are like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to hear about it. But it's so hard to genuinely just want to be like, you have to hear this. You have
exactly.
to, because once you hear about it, you can't not hear about it. You can't, once you're here, I'm like, where else would I go now?
Exactly.
I mean,
Especially we had the same mindset from our previous.
yeah,
We're not going
yeah,
anywhere. We're not going
yeah,
anywhere. And then when you hear that there truly is somewhere that is agent first mentality through and through and you experience it,
mhm.
you understand.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, without question.
yeah,
So,
I absolutely. And everyone from the moment I know I joined, and
mhm.
I don't want to put these words into your mouth. It is so collaborative. Everyone
Oh,
that I have talked to, and I'm sure you feel the same way, but coming to you for this, from going to the conference and speaking to everyone, here's the playbook, this is what we did, this is what didn't work, here, this is what you can do better, just opened up for you, and that
yeah,
is priceless.
I agree with you. And there's never been a time that I have called somebody and
Mhm.
said, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't know. I've never been in this situation before, or I really want to break into this market, or I want to, get out of this market. I want to get up to a higher price point. I want to work with a certain, niche of people. I want to work with firefighters or teachers or nurses or something. It's like, what do I do? There is somebody who's like, okay, one, I can tell you what to do, but I can tell you what not to do. I can tell you I spent so much time. So you get that feeling of people actually want you to win because they're like telling you avoid these pitfalls. Don't do this. I already did it. It didn't work.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
if I was to do this over again, this is what I would do. And I
Mhm.
think that's what's been the most helpful for me.
Yeah.
And it's like I know that if I call, what I think about it all the time, and I know you do too. We talk about it all the time, but I think about it like a grandmother's recipe because when you make a meal for friends that come over and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best ever. Can I get your recipe?" And then, or you do that to somebody else and they give you the recipe and you're like, this isn't the same. Like there's something wrong. They left out an ingredient or
Yes.
they left something out. It's like being in a company that you're asking for the recipe and they're actually giving you the recipe. It's like, hey,
You want the
this
secret
is
sauce?
my grandmother's
Yes.
tried and true secret
Yes.
sauce. And here you go. So I mean,
Yep.
I happen to be in California and you're in New Jersey,
Mhm.
and I get just as much value from hearing what you're doing in your area to apply it to California too, and like all of our partners, whether we're in
Yep.
Texas or Alaska or anywhere, it's like,
Same page. Absolutely.
mhm,
And the
yeah,
camaraderie, and it's a different energy. And you
100%.
felt that when we were in that room,
Mhm.
that that right there is something to be said.
I was going to say, I have not ever been to a conference where I wanted to be there when the door opened. I didn't want to miss
Right.
a single minute. It was like out of the hotel room, up, dressed, hair done, down the hallway, just to make sure that when they pulled those doors open, we were running to a seat because it was that good. It wasn't like, I've
There's
heard the
another day
speaker a million times. I'll get there at 11:30. It'll be fine. It was like, no, I want to be there exactly when the doors open. So,
because you know it's going to be value and you don't want to miss it.
yep. I don't want to miss anything. Yeah. So,
Absolutely. And that leads me to my next question is this this is another cloud-based brokerage.
yep.
Another. Why do you
Hmm.
feel that there's so many agents, huge teams
Yeah.
leaving money on the table and coming as soon as states open up. And now the whole nation is opened up. New Jersey was pretty
Mhm.
much last. And
I
I
think you
got
guys were
dragged
last.
in.
So,
But what do you think that big draw is that makes LPT stand up so much higher, brighter than some of these others? And these agents are willing to leave money on the table and they see what is different.
absolutely. I honestly, when I think about that, I think it's feeling valued. And I think it's when people say, hey, you can sell one house or you can sell 100 houses, where can you go that the person who sells one house has value to anybody? So even if you're in a cloud-based brokerage, it's like nobody knows your name, nobody knows what you're doing, and if you are only, selling 1 to 10 houses, you're just there to kind of boost the numbers at the brokerage. Where here, it doesn't matter. You can have a team of 5 or you can have a team of 500. And there is so much value and you feel it. You feel it right away and you want a part of it because I'm looking at the vision that our CEO has and I want to be there. The values to this company align. And there's just something about being like on the ground floor. And
Mhm.
now it's not the ground floor anymore. And I feel like we hit the deck running with them. And I'm so excited about it. But when you get sort of like a Willy Wonka golden ticket, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have this and I'm going to do it. And people don't see it. People don't, they're like, what are you doing? You're nuts. And it's like, why would you leave? You totally had it made. You had stock, you had your group, you had a downline, you had all of it. Why would you leave? And it's like for opportunity, for a place where there's actual camaraderie, that there's actual value, and it's not just the same top 5 agents being promoted and their stuff being promoted and their courses being promoted and their ads being promoted and hey, sign up for their coaching platform or whatever. It's like there's so much growth opportunity here, whether it's bumping up from 5 house sales to 15 house sales a year, from learning business practices to, having the opportunity to do this, to be able to meet other agents and really connect with other agents. Other cloud-based brokerages offer it, but I don't think that they offer it with the vision that Robert has, that he is like, no, we have a brokerage for life where you can be on this plan with this kind of path. You can be on this plan with this path. And they're running parallel. There's so many options here. The
Mhm.
marketing here is unbelievable. I did not think that it was going to be as good as it is. I did not. When somebody's like, oh, free marketing, you think free is cheap. Free
Okay.
is throwaway. Free is something else. And to actually have the marketing boxes that are unbelievable. I mean, just the print material has gotten us this last year. It's absolutely benefited our business and it's
Absolutely.
free. It's like, I mean, there's so many things like that that draw teams and draw people because it's a hard market. It's a hard business. This is like a contact sport, no matter what you're doing. So
Mhm.
if you're spending money on your MLS fees, you're spending money on a photographer, you're spending money on all of the things, marketing yourself in your community. If a company can help with that to help you sell your house, it's like they're not just there with compliance like hanging over you, although they are that. They're like, here, let us help you. Let us help your seller. Let us help your buyers get into a house. It's like they do everything that they say they're going to do to actually help your business. So,
Can we do with
yeah,
training? How can we do to support you? There are so many different options, whether you want to be solo, team lead, etc. They have all the different avenues, regardless of the choice that you want to make as a new agent.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too that they actually hear you.
Mhm.
And people will be like, oh, it's a smaller company than some of these other agents with 90,000. They've set it up for avenues. So we've had people, people have asked me like, hey, I don't like this about the company, or I don't like that, or this is not efficient. There's ways to connect with our corporation, with corporate level to say, this is not working.
Yes.
Because just because it's working in Texas really well does not mean it's going to work in California. We're completely different markets, states, everything. Everything runs differently. And they change it. they actually like hear it. And if it makes sense, they're like, yeah, you're right. Let's adjust, and it's like,
And that's
oh my
huge.
gosh, it
They
is.
really listen and they take all of that seriously, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and that, not to bring up the conference and go backwards,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
he changed his entire plan because someone came up to him, asked him a question, and he rewrote what he was going to do with his speech, because he said, I need to address this. I
Exactly.
had an agent come up to me and with this question, and that means all of you have this question, and we're
Yeah.
going to talk
Mhm.
about this for 15 minutes.
Yeah. CEO goes back to his hotel room at night and sits down with the slide deck and the executive team and
Yes,
changes the conference
yes,
to be able to, to address that in the morning.
yes.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that
So
speaks volumes, because that was 10 hours out, if that.
yeah. And it's really interesting because Ben Pie Champagne is who that agent was that he talked to. And I met him in the hallway because I knew him from our last brokerage. He has since moved over recently. And he was in the hallway and he was like, I can't believe that he did that. He's like, we just met him last night. We walked up to him and talked to him. And he
Mhm.
was so welcoming and asked us, like what's going on? What can we improve? And we said it. And he's like, we never thought in a
There's your
million
answer.
years that he was gonna stop the conference and answer the questions that everybody has,
Yeah,
and he did. And I was
yes.
shocked. So yeah.
Revamp.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it was, if I didn't know that he had done that, I would have thought it was part of it
Me too.
because everything was seamless,
Yes.
so there wasn't any kind of like,
And I loved
you know,
it. It was so
I,
real. And I
mhm.
loved the fact that he did that, and it moved it.
Yeah.
It was great. And
Yep.
that actually spoke more volume to me than if he had it. Oh, yeah.
Yep. So no, and I think too that that realness of like, hey, this is not going to be perfect. People trip on stage, people get locked up in what they're saying,
Yes.
people get up and walk in and out of the room, the lights don't work, and something's not going to work. It's okay. We're not here to make sure that our
Mhm.
laser light show is perfect. It's like we're here
No,
to actually dive in and just do it, and so I appreciated that there was no laser light show, that there was no
that wasn't
NFL,
anything.
DJ on stage announcing everybody, that there was,
Yes.
and I understand the hype behind that.
Mhm.
But the weirdest thing is that the first day there was so much like electricity kind of in our room that the
Mhm.
next day it felt like the draw was there more than like wanting to go listen to a DJ or
Mhm.
wanting to have my coffee and just take an Instagram picture because it's all lit up. It was like, oh my gosh, no, I want standing in line with my cup of coffee ready to go, and so yeah, I could sit here honestly, Tamara, for 3 hours and talk to you about the conference and all of the things, all the takeaways, and just I'm so excited for next year's conference.
I am
And
too.
it's been a week. So,
I absolutely am.
yep,
And we have enough from that conference to continuously add value for our agents from now
yep,
to next year, which is what is phenomenal. And we were talking about that with one of our other partners this past week, is
yep.
what we're so excited about to implement and talk about with our teams. With that said, you've been with LPT for a year now.
I have, yep.
Congratulations.
As of last night, it's been a year. Yeah.
And that's huge. What was your biggest aha moment this past year when you were like, "Oh my goodness, I know now this is where I belong." Cuz it was such a big decision, I know, for you and for me, to move from our past brokerage. I mean, it was heart-wrenching. We both loved where we were at, and we thought
Mhm.
there's no other place we
Yep.
could possibly go.
I was a ride or die on my last
Yep.
company. And I think that's when I ended up making the move. Immediately, it was like, oh my gosh, what happened? What happened? Are you okay?
Yeah.
I started getting there. They're like, we thought you were going to be here for your whole career, and it was like, I did too.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to watch. And it kind of started from the top down. I knew an agent that had been there for a couple of years. And so I'd kind of been following along and I was like, oh, that's cool. But I was so ingrained in what I was doing. And I thought that where I was comfortable. And I didn't think that I could get any farther. So I kind of thought, like, hey, I hit the peaks, I hit the awards, I hit this, I was in the mentorship program, those things. And I just thought this is it. I'm just going to keep working now at this level and it'll be fine. And I didn't think that there was an opportunity to grow still, to be like, yep, to take a new position, to meet new people, to kind of get out of, being in one business sec to actually like raising my GCI, raising my, transactions, everything that was going on at that time. I was just comfortable. And I watched senior leadership move from one company to another company. And I thought, I know this person well enough to know that there would be no reason for them to move unless they're seeing something that I don't see. So I started kind of like looking into it, and we had a lot of, at that point, we were the busiest we had been. And we had a lot of properties under contract. We had, things that were pending and trying to figure it out. And we left everything. We left all of our stock. We left all of our credit. We left everything behind. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it was such a financial scare for me. Like, we know what we're doing here.
Mhm.
We're comfortable here to make a move that is a maybe, maybe not, and from the minute we got here, it was like arms open wide. Hey, we're going to help you. You can talk to support team, you can talk to corporate, you can get help, you can, because no matter what happens, and I keep saying it too, it doesn't matter who comes here to LPT. The first week or two, it's like drinking water through a fire hose because you're so
Yes.
used to what you know that it's so frustrating to break out of a mold and have
Yes.
to, accept something new or be like, that's not the way we did it over here.
Right.
And so the first 2 weeks, we were like, we just want to go back. We just want to go back, because we were breaking through that
And you're
like
growing.
shell, like you're a snake and you have to kind of like get through it. And once we got settled in and started utilizing the resources that were available for free,
Yes.
started getting into the mastermind, started getting into groups. And I honestly thought, Tamara, that it was going to be, hey, come in here, I'll give you a little information and then sell you my course. Hey, come in here, sit here for an hour training. And then if you want for
Purchase
$49.99, you
this.
can, yeah, I thought it was always going to be like a step up sales.
Yeah.
And it never was. It was like, hey, this is what you do. And if you want to know more, just come back. And I was like, well, what do I have to pay for it? And they're like, nothing, be here.
Right.
And it's like, there's
Show
so
up.
many people. Yes. And you're going to get out of LPT what you put into it. If you participate, if you connect, if you're open to being like, hey, I'm going to give you my playbook. I want your playbook. If you can, make the time to be involved. Oh my gosh. And we watched our numbers start going up. We watched our transactions start going up. We watched our price points going up, and it was like, huh, there's something to this. And then it just kept kind of going that way. We opened a branch office here in California because we see the vision of where it's going. Our business. So we're at, for that 1 year, we're at 150% of what we were before. So it's, I mean, it's one of those things that it's an absolute no-brainer. And I want to make sure that I'm giving back. I feel responsible to give back to other agents as much as I'm being given.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things here is that, after a year, it's long enough to know like if they're blowing smoke or if they are who they say they are. And it just keeps getting better. So I feel like I was here at the right time. It's still the right time. And it's the confidence I have in this company and the confidence I have in the vision of where it's going. We just want to align ourselves with it. They are not afraid to speak their values. They are not afraid to say no. They are not afraid to remove people who don't share the values to this
Absolutely.
company. So they don't let any agent just run their mouth all over social media about hateful things, not speaking their opinion, but like being a toxic cancer to the company. There's some people who are like, oh, you know what? They sell a lot of transactions, so you kind of have to put up with it. They bring in a lot of money, so we have to put up with it.
No
This company
tolerance.
is not that way. They're like, no, we are protecting our culture and our people and our reputation and our business structure. And I appreciate it so, so much because it just makes you want to step up your game.
Absolutely.
What about you? So you've been here now for quite a while too. So what is it for you that made you want to move over? What do you think, about being here? Do you feel like the first couple weeks you did like you have to just be like, okay, let me just
Yeah.
take a breath
Yes.
and just
And
move
I
forward?
think I reached out to you as well. I felt very similar. So when I first moved over, it was so different systems that I wasn't used to, same thing. I needed to just dive in head first, as you mentioned, like drink through the fire hose and just
Yeah.
figure it out and that's fine and that's just this business either roll up your sleeves or don't. And I was ready for it. And I
Mhm.
did. And once I looked at the again free packages that they were including, they were better than what I had before. And I absolutely love them. And as I'm talking, some of my agents through it, I'm like, look, I know you're used to this, and we're using, this one now, one of them being dot loop, which we didn't have before.
Yeah.
You only have to use one opposed to two before. So I know it's something new to learn, but
Okay.
it's going to be better for your process. So
Mm-hmm.
like all these things, yes, there's a reason behind it. All of, these things that you got to go through, which might be
Yeah.
hard work at first, it's
Yep.
worth it in the end. So I absolutely love where I'm at right now. I'm trying to pick just one. It's
I
hard.
know. It's
And
really hard. It's hard to do that when you're just like, no, I could just go on and on for,
you know what I want to really stick to is when you're comfortable, because you mentioned that you're comfortable where you're at, you know that you're not growing. You need to put yourself
Oh,
in a
but
position
yes.
to be uncomfortable to
Mhm.
create growth again. And I think
Yeah.
that is what I recognized the most was, okay, I got to make this leap. I am going to have to start learning all these new systems and processes. They're all better for me because I know that they have this great marketing plan. I'm going to have to learn that also. But I know once I start using all these different systems and processes, there's going to be an end result that I'm going to like. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I've been, with this company for less than a year, but I'm already seeing great results and I'm so happy. I'm excited to implement all the new different, strategies that were brought to us during this conference, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to, come back here and have this conversation with you again and you say, "Hey, so what was your aha moment 1 year from now?"
Yeah.
So, like
Oh,
that's what's going to
100%.
be
I
really
think,
exciting.
yeah, and be able to look back on this
Yeah.
conversation and, and kind of compare the two to where we're both at, because I think our businesses are pretty similar,
Mm-hmm.
but we're in completely different markets. We're in completely different areas. So some things that work for me out here in California are totally opposite from work for you in New Jersey. So it's going to be really interesting to see the growth in the company, the growth in our own businesses, as partners and kind of being able to move forward this next year and just watch it. Because I'm excited. I'm excited to look back. I want to take this clip next year and be able to kind of
Yes,
put them side by side and
let's
see.
see.
Yeah.
For sure.
Uh,
So I know we could talk about this all day. If I'm speaking now to anyone that's watching this video, if you're curious about what's different here, please reach out to either myself or Sierra. I'll put both of our information here underneath this video. There's no pressure. It's just if you can't, you see, it's real conversation. We're a happy bunch here. And we just
that
really
that we
love
are.
we just really love where we're at and the decision that we both made. So
100%.
that's all we really wanted to come and talk about today. We'll have other topics moving forward, but when Sierra and I talked recently, we wanted to come here and specifically talk about the conference. So I hope
Yeah, for sure.
you got some value from this little bit today, and reach out if you have any other questions, and we'll come back and do a video on those. Thank you for
Yeah,
joining
that'd be
us.
great.
Thank you, Sierra.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Tamara.